Hey guys, I'm Andi.
And I'm Ayla.
And this is
Sinister Dynasty.
So I have actually completely forgotten what I've written, so it will be me reacting as well as you. Because I've completely forgotten what I've done. So what I'm doing though is Alice Parkinson from back in 1915. So this is over 100 years ago. Time's gone very fast, 1915. Very fast.
I didn't know I wasn't alive back then.
No. Really?
No, just kidding. I'm over 100 years old.
Just kidding. So yeah, I'll just get into it anyway. So Alice Parkinson was born on the 29th of December 1889. So even prior to 1915, she was born in...
No, 1989. Okay, we're good.
1889, yeah.
I needed a minute.
Yeah, and so she was born in Hawke's Bay. She had 11 siblings, so family of 14. 11
Far
siblings.
out.
Crazy, eh? Because I'm thinking with my grandparents, they've got like 4 or 5 siblings, but imagine 11. Like I thought 5 was enough. 11 is crazy. So she left home at 14 years old in 1903. I probably would too if I had 11 siblings and couldn't get my own room. So then she undertook a period of initial domestic service in Hastings. So Hastings, Hawke's Bay.
What does that mean?
I don't know. I should probably look into that. I'm guessing initial domestic service. I don't know. Helping out community, maybe?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. By the sounds of it, says that only her dad worked. So, again, going back to them having 14 people in their family.
I could not imagine how her mother could work with 14 fucking kids.
No, fair enough as well. I probably wouldn't want to. Wouldn't have the energy to.
I think I'd rather work and have them stay at home and look after the 14 kids.
True. But you keep in mind though, so 14 members in the Parkinson family, and with one wage as well. So feeding all those people on all those 14 people on one wage. So after living in Hastings for a bit, she then moved to Napier and became a pantry maid in 1909. I'm
not going to ask you what that is. I assume
I think it's self-explanatory.
Yeah. A pantry maid though, is that a full-time, like what?
Well, this was
pantries?
over 100 years ago.
I'm sure it'll be something like.
Well, they've got like those butlers pantries, I guess. So just I don't know. I don't know. Pantry maid. I'm guessing it's just a normal maid.
It's not self-explanatory.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's just a normal maid who dabbles in pantries. I don't know.
Specialises in pantries.
Yeah. So around this time, she became involved with a man called Walter West.
Oh, we've just done a Walter.
Yeah, Walter Bolton, Walter West. They've got good rings to them, don't they?
Yes, solid
So
names.
he was a railway worker, and they were together for about 6 years.
Yes.
So Alice actually thought that her relationship would last with him, because they just seemed like they'd go the distance. Good on you, sis. You're in love. All good. Everyone wants to hope that their relationship would last. And she fell...
Me?
Yeah. Well, she fell pregnant in 1914. Not you, again, because this is 100 years later.
Yeah, I'm not falling pregnant.
Yeah, no, never. You never say never. No, probably not.
Touch wood.
Yeah. So she fell pregnant in 1914, and in that year, because of the pregnancy, she spent all of her savings, on renting and also furnishing the house to prepare for the baby and just prepare for the family lives that Walter and her were going to have together with the baby.
I feel that's a good decision.
Yeah, and she was just preparing, right? So this can be a bit upsetting. So just.
Trigger warning?
Yeah, trigger warning here. So, unfortunately, she had a stillbirth on the 1st of January 1915. So she was released from hospital fairly quickly. And so, after that, she just had to rely on her own resources, really. So, keep in mind, again, that she'd spent all her money previously preparing her house and her family. So, before this point, Walter had promised to marry Alice, but after some time, he actually took back that promise and he decided he didn't want to marry her again. Well, not again, sorry, he just didn't want to marry her. So at this point, Alice had just suffered a terrible loss, like especially a stillbirth as well. Like that's awful. That's really traumatic. By this point, Alice had no job. She had spent all her savings. She had really nothing left over. And also keeping in mind that this is 100 years ago, her reputation, because of what had happened, like it.
Yeah, she had premarital sex.
Yeah, and the illegitimate.
Yeah.
Quotation marks pregnancy. Yeah, pretty heavy stuff. So she tried forcing Walter West to marry her, just probably out of desperation, really, like just losing.
I mean, she could also still love him.
Oh yeah, but just trying to get him back, you know, and it's
absolutely.
like holding on to someone who she thought loved her after a traumatic experience. Understandable, like just trying to win him back. So this is where it got a little bit. Forcing becomes a bit more like actual forcing. She first threatened him by letter to...
How formal.
Yeah, very formal. Maybe she wanted it in writing, just him to sign it. I don't know. I don't know.
For when she takes him to court, because he does not go back to her. She's got it in writing.
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, so she tried forcing him by letter. And then on the 2nd of March in 1915, so this is about a couple months after the birth, she was 25 years old. Alice travelled to Nelson Crescent in Napier, and then she shot him 4 times in the head and chest.
Girl, don't waste no time.
No, straight to the point, I guess, yeah. So he died 3 days later, unfortunately, on the 5th of March 1915.
I'm assuming due to his injuries.
Yeah. yeah, self-explanatory. So she also tried to shoot herself as well.
Oh,
she did shoot. Yeah. She shot herself in the temple, but it didn't kill her. So, yeah. So, yeah, going back to the bullet, it was actually too risky to remove, so the bullet just stayed in her temple. It just stayed there. I don't know if it caused her any pain or not. Maybe not. I suppose everything would just grow around it, I guess. But
I don't know.
It stayed in there.
I don't know. I don't know how that works.
This was 100 years ago, so pain medication wouldn't have been the best then either. Although, to be fair, they probably would be using, like, heroin or something.
The good stuff.
The good stuff. Bring it back. No.
I mean, did it really ever leave? It's just not in pain medication anymore.
Yeah, true. Well, it depends on the pain. Anyway, we won't go into that. We don't have enough knowledge on that subject.
Drugs.
So Alice was convicted of manslaughter by the jury. But the jury as well
Could see why.
Yeah, for sure. She definitely did it. But the jury also wanted to show her mercy due to the background, so her going through that experience and then him leaving her after she spent all her savings, and then
this case, what you've just said, I'm just like, I mean, why? Like, I understand she's had a shit run, but she's still breathing.
Yeah, she still killed somebody. And that's what made this case quite big as well, is just the different opinions on it. So the Chief Justice, Sir Robert Stout, he ignored what the jury said basically and sentenced her to life imprisonment and hard labour in a prison in Christchurch, Addington Prison. So what you just said basically, like, she killed somebody. So yeah, so
good decision on his behalf.
Yeah, and Parkinson's lawyer appealed the decision, but it was declined, so he couldn't do anything about it.
I just want to make it clear, like, it is absolutely awful what she has done, but she does not deserve to get a lighter sentence because of the things that have happened to her.
Yeah.
You've got to live with these are the consequences to the decision you made.
Yeah.
You know, he is no longer alive, and you were breathing.
Yeah. Well, because it kind of actually gets to this in this bit. Again, I'm just remembering what I've written down now, but remember it said that she was released from hospital fairly quickly as well after having that experience happen to her. And there's the whole thing about postpartum depression as well. So her not even having a baby to bring home as well could have just...
Oh, yes.
That could have been really...
She would have been in a very, very,
very
very
delicate
fragile space. Yeah.
And then not having any savings or anything as well.
Not having...
So, again, agree with you. She should definitely not have killed somebody. She definitely should not have killed somebody. But there is a little bit of explanation behind it. So the New Zealand Truth newspaper and the Social Democratic Party took up her case. So there was a dude called Harry Holland, and he was the editor of the Māori Land Worker. He used the newspaper to campaign for Parkinson. So to back her up. So there was even a Release Alice Parkinson committee or committees, and they were mostly organised by feminists. So backing her up from what she'd gone through. Again, I don't know, maybe they were trying to... Actually, no, it literally says Release Alice Parkinson. So I could understand a shorter sentence, to be honest. I could understand a shorter sentence. But I wouldn't agree with fully releasing her.
I wouldn't agree.
Unless it was like a mental institution to help her.
Now, if this happened today, with what we've got with our mental health, I wouldn't want her to have a shorter sentence due to the circumstances. It's awful, the circumstances. Yeah. But this has happened. These are now the consequences. Yeah. And she should definitely not be released. Yeah. I mean, not released in the sense of she could have been put into a mental hospital instead of a jail and held that way, which would most probably be better. But then again, mental hospitals back in God knows when, and
1915,
and even now they're not the greatest.
Yeah, they're not. We're going to touch on that as well. The mental health system over here is pretty...
The mental health system in general is just appalling.
Not so great.
Appalling.
Yeah. You can definitely feel for her, but...
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, but there is a big but there.
A
big booty there. There's a big booty.
Begin to imagine what she's gone through, but...
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
She still killed someone.
Yeah. Going back to the committees, actually no, going back, so there was petitions made too. So as well as the committees, there were petitions, and in total there was over 100,000 people who had signed it. And again, back then that's a pretty large amount of people, and especially as well, we didn't have internet back then, so they would all have to come sign it properly. Yeah. That's pretty impressive. That's very respectable. That a high number.
Yes.
So the campaigns, so the Release Alice Parkinson committees and their campaigns and everything, they continued into the 1920s. So quite a few years after she was put in prison in Christchurch, but they did lose momentum over time.
Why was she put in Christchurch Hospital? I mean, Christchurch Jail. Didn't they have one up north?
I actually don't know. That's a fair point. Weird. Because she was put in prison in Christchurch, life imprisonment, hard labour. Maybe that was the only option for where labour was there. Yeah. That makes a bit more sense. I probably should have looked into that. I always miss things. She was then released to her mum in mid-1921 in Tinokino, so that's near Hawke's Bay, so back where her mum was. I think at this point her dad had passed away or left or something as well, so just went back to her mum. So it was in mid-1921. In 1923, so a couple of years later, she married a man called Charles O'Loughlin, and they had lots of children. Well, it says several children. Lots of children. So he died in 1942, and then she died on the 21st of July 1949, so 7 years after him. So yeah, she got out of prison, and then 2 years later she married.
Good on her.
Her kids. Yeah. I guess she'd serve some time, but how long was she in prison for? Probably like 5 years or something, to be honest. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. So her subsequent trial and conviction became a subject of contemporary controversy for New Zealand socialist and feminist campaigners, and this was just due to the perceived severity of her sentence compared to male criminals. So again, recapping, she had life imprisonment, and then got sent away from the North Island down to Christchurch, quite a wee way away, in those days especially, no planes or anything, just fly down, to do hard labour for life. That's pretty intense.
Is that saying, you know, men get this but they're actually in prison for an extended period of time? Or is that saying, you know...
Well, my assumption of it is the severity of a sentence compared to male criminals. Perhaps they didn't have to leave, they didn't have to go so far away from prison, and perhaps they didn't actually have to do much hard labour as well.
Or her sentence was longer than a general sentence.
For murder.
It was life, wasn't it?
Yeah, life imprisonment.
I wonder what life was back then, because life now is 20 to 25 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. And keeping in mind again as well, perhaps other people didn't have to move, when they got sent to prison, perhaps they didn't have to move far away, but she had to move super far away, like you pointed out, from literally Napier to Christchurch. Very far away. Unless you could teleport. You do the Harry Potter thing, like the, what's it called? When he's, Diagon Alley.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, so, yeah, pretty funky. So her case highlights the social and economic vulnerability of contemporary women and reveals the double standard of sexual morality common at the time. I got that from a source. I don't use big words like that.
No.
But as I agree with it, like it does highlight the vulnerability.
It was quite long. Yeah, that was...
Yeah. And so the case also served as a focus for anxieties over inadequacies in the judicial system. So again, going back to the unfairness within it. And that could have been, like with all those campaigns behind her and stuff, it could have been about her as well, but also they would have been tying in that stuff, like it's actually really unfair that you can treat a woman like this but you treat a man like this, or you treat a man like this who did this bad but then a man who did the exact same thing got super less in prison. So that they just took her case because it fitted they might have just taken her case because it fitted the thing of what they were going for, and did that. So some organisations compared Parkinson's sentence unfavourably to the more lenient ones imposed on male child molesters too.
I mean, that's not even in the same fucking category.
Yeah, but it's still pretty shitty. I would class them as very similar. That's my personal opinion. I would fully... Because, you know, in prison... No, you're right. Yeah. Yeah, I class them as very similar. Because, I mean, like in prison too, there's murderers there, which sucks and is horrible. But with child molesters... Well, I've been watching Orange is the New Black, I guess, but... They get stabbed, like they have a hard time. Yeah. So when you read that, fair enough. Like
when you read that, I personally think that child molesters should get a lot more than they do.
Oh yeah,
they should.
Yeah.
100%. So that came into my brain weird, but I think they should get a lot more.
Oh yeah, exactly, and that's what they're saying here, like. Well, she's done this and there's other stuff behind her, and yes, she committed a crime, but these people who do these awful things to children, they're getting like less time or something else. Oh, that I could go on about that for ages. That gets me so riled up.
Oh, same.
It's disgusting. We'll stray from that though. We'll go back to this because I will keep going about it. They actually insisted there should be more women judges, jurors, police officers and MPs, so to help combat the imbalances and everything.
Yeah, well there is now.
Yeah, exactly. And again, this was like over 100 years ago, so
they're doing well.
They campaigned it. Yeah, they progressed in doing a bit better, hopefully. You'd hope so. So the campaigners also drew attention to the lack of a system of probation for all but the slightest offences. So their efforts led to an act of Parliament making probation available in cases similar to Parkinson's. So it's saying here that there was no probation apart from when there was a really slight offence kind of thing. Like, someone did something minor, and they could get probation. So, because of that case, they introduced probation to...
Yeah. Well, that's...
Well, for cases similar to Parkinson's, they introduced that. And the right of appeal was also extended.
Ooh.
I don't know what that means. Does that mean that they've
So,
got longer time to go?
Appeal their case, yeah.
Okay. Well, that's pretty good.
That is good.
That's pretty good. Because, again, they got declined when they first went for it. Oh, what I forgot to say, so Stout, the dude who made the decision and put her in prison for life, he was also on the Board of Appeal. So he declined it, and he was... Yeah.
That's it too. Because that happened in Walter Bolton ones
Yeah, that's
as
a conflict
well.
of interest, eh?
Yeah. That wouldn't have been a thing back then, but righto.
Yeah, no. But so what it says here, so Alice Parkinson was frequently stereotyped as a villain or a heroine or a victim. So she fit in 3 categories by different people. She could be fit into anything, into any one of those 3. So she appears now as a woman driven to solve her problems by violence, whose efforts resulted in tragedy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good sum up.
Yeah.
And it goes to show again, just violence isn't the answer. It really isn't. No matter if you're 100 years ago, like this case was, or today, or in the future, like you should never resort to violence. That's not going to help anything.
No.
It could get you put in prison for life, and then be campaigned to be released. In the case of Alice Parkinson, but yeah.
Very good.
What else I forgot to mention? So there is a restaurant and bar in Franz Joseph called Alice May Parkinson, and it was opened by one of Alice's grandchildren. So there's a cafe, and it was in the name of her.
It's a conflict of interest.
How's it a conflict of interest? Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no,
so
there's a cafe literally.
we'll have to
named
go and
after her.
have a squiz at that, because apparently that's
You
quite
can
nice.
tell we're from the South Island.
We're not telling you where.
Just got to roll out ours. Yeah, I think they can figure out pretty much where we are. Stanley Graham, our first case is close to home. But yeah, pretty cool. There's a whole cafe.
Yeah, that's cool. I did not see that coming.
No, I didn't either.
No, we'll have to toddle down there and have a look.
Yeah, I reckon that'd be
Well,
fun.
and
Weekend away.
as Andi was saying earlier, that we're going to start doing recorded videos for Patreons. We'll include that in our recorded videos for Patreons.
Yeah, they'll be really fun. They'll be funny to watch. You can just laugh at us. I'll be shitting myself. I'll be like, ah. That was a very short case. Again.
That was good. No, that was good.
Yeah.
Short and sweet. We don't want to waste too many people's times.
Yeah, my next one, I'm just going to warn everyone now. Again, we'll tell you what it is when we get into it, but it won't be for everyone. It was a good suggestion, so thanks for the suggestion, but it might not be for everyone, so just keep that in mind that you might be skipping out my next episode. But
yep, and we're about to record my next episode.
yeah. Would you have to wait another week for? Haha. Unless you're a Patreon, then you can get it early.
Yes. Thank you for listening, and please listen some more. Also, give us some love on our social medias, which is linked in the show notes.
Woo! But yeah, thanks guys. Yeah.
Thank you for listening. Give us some love on socials, and
I'm Andi.
And I'm Ayla.
And that was
Sinister Dynasty.